The time has come. Ashley Robinson has made his decision. Is he going to go back to Prairie View or remain the athletic director at Jackson State? Oh, yeah, it's locked on HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked On HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On HBCU podcast, your number one daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum, and former TSU Herald sports editor and current contributing writer at USA Today's Saints, where I have everything represented on this wall behind me. It's a beautiful backdrop, but I also described it all. So if you're on the audio side, just continue going because audio, visual, it doesn't matter to me. I just appreciate you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey is over. It just means it's time to follow me on Twitter, on X, on whatever you're using nowadays, at South Exclusive. Starts with an S. It ends with an S. Today's episode will actually wrap up with a conversation around the MEAC Madden tournament at the MEAC Media Day. We'll start off with Ashley Robinson and the decision that he made on where he wants to work in the future. And in the middle of all of that, Grambling is really working hard to expand their brand to different areas, and it's showing. We have to give a round of applause for that. But first, the question, the moment you've all been waiting for. Ashley Robinson, is he going to go back to Prairie View, his first stop within the SWAC? Or is he going to continue being the athletic director at Jackson State? He has chosen to remain home, and this is major for two reasons. So you have the conclusion of what could have been one of the most eyebrow-raising and one of the most interesting stories of the offseason had he left. But this is one of the few times that I wasn't really itching for drama. I just wanted to know where he was going to land. So it's kind of got to a fifth-round decision. You know, I'm a UFC guy, not a boxing guy. So fifth-round decision. And still, there's no championship up, but this is a major decision because for first and foremost, you didn't allow him to go to Prairie View. That's number one. You didn't allow him to go to Prairie View A&M because that might have been worse than just losing him in general. And we'll get into the track record and why that would have been so impactful at the end of this segment. But I want to start off with a little bit of a pat on my back because I did kind of say it. I didn't call it, but I did say that I don't know. There's been rumors like this before. I kind of likened this rumor here to Howard leaving the MEAC, where everybody was saying it, but just something in my gut said, nah, I don't think so. Not when Howard did it. I was completely on the bandwagon. I thought they were leaving, right? But this kind of reminded me of the Howard situation. So though I did waver in confidence, though they almost did get me, my gut said that Ashley Robinson was going to stay. And I believe I said that last time. And I said that I will come back with an update when we had it. And now we have it. See, I thought that this was something that was interesting because the rumors were very true. Let's be very clear. No one is denying that there were rumors. And this is what the interim president had to say. He said, A.D. Robinson is staying at the I Love Jackson State. We huddled up, as they say in sports, and we came out a winner. And I am so pleased to have him as a part of my administration. Now, the reason I think that's impactful to say is because they're not hiding it. I don't think it needs to be a secret, but they're not making it a secret. Yeah, Prairie View was coming to calling. Prairie View had him on the line. I'm not even sure if they're not saying that Prairie View wasn't close if you had to huddle up, right? But all of those things make this a bigger announcement. Why are we announcing that Ashley Robinson is staying? Why are we actually announcing that? Right? First and foremost, this is a big time fish. Like, this is a big fish in a big pond, big fish in a small pond. He's a big fish no matter where he goes. So that's the first thing, foremost, right? But then also, we know that Prairie View is calling. We know what the rumors are. We know it, and the rumors are true. So I thought that this was a big deal. If you wanted to know why he stayed, that's not really the focus of today, but I will read Robinson's quote. He said, "That's one of the biggest reasons I stayed, or one of the biggest reasons I made the decision to stay here. You always want to be in a position where you can support your coaches, support your athletes, and President Anthony. You have put us in a position to do that." That's why he stayed, not the most impactful, more so to speak about why his decision is important, not so much of why he made his decision. But there you have it. And he's talking about the reason I decided to stay. Prairie View was very close. Like, let's be very clear. Prairie View was very close. And I actually can't wait to see if they amend his contract. I'm assuming they will. If they huddled up, I would probably think some more money got tacked on. And not that everything comes down to money, but in these type of situations, typically a contract is kind of reworked, whether that's an extension, whether that's a little bit more money on the in the year that's coming up. I don't know. But if you huddle up and you had to come up with a plan to make him stay. I think it's more than just a pitch. It's probably something like a contract. But let's get into the second reason that this is major. Because you don't want him to go to PV. But why don't you want him to go to PV? It all comes back to the same thing. Ashley Robinson is elite at his job. He is an elite athletic director. It's what he does, and he does it very well. He did it very well at Prairie View. That's the reason they want him back. He did it very well at Prairie View, and that's the reason that Jackson State went to go get him. He's done it very well at Jackson State, and that's the reason Jackson State doesn't want to let him go. He's done it very well at Jackson State, and that's the reason PV wants to come get him. It's a cycle with the same two teams, but either way that you slice it, he did very well at PV. He's done very well at Jackson State. He's just good at this. It's what he does. And a little bit of a fun fact for you. The SWAC standings have Southern and Florida A&M winning their division and meeting up in the conference game. Eric Dooley, Willie Simmons, both hired by Ashley Robinson. If you want to go through the last two SWAC championships, Eric Dooley was in both of them. Deion Sanders was in both of them. Both hired by Ashley Robinson. Right? So you're looking at high-level coaches on the football side of things. You had a dominant coach. You have two championship contenders at the coaching position, right? You like TC. Many of my Jackson State fans, they defend TC like nobody's business. You like TC, right? Yes, he came over with Deion Sanders, but part of the decision to retain TC as the coach is going to be Ashley Robinson, and the success or failure of TC Taylor is going to be something that is on Robinson's resume because he was the one who essentially signed off, in my mind, just to keep it simple, right? But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Mo Williams, that was a splash hire. I guess maybe the time is, kind of out to tell on both him and TC. But in the first year as the Jackson State head coach, Mo Williams took them from 7th to 3rd. And keeping in the basketball frame, in my opinion, their best hire from a strictly athletic point of view. Because we're talking about I don't know if I kind of hinted at Deion, but Deion was a hire, right? I think that goes without saying, but that was the biggest splash. That was probably his biggest and arguably best hire when you put everything together. But I look at Tamika Reed, and I look at the dominance that she's had over 4 years. I look at the kind of equal amount of dominance that the football team had, and then she's also done it for longer. I think that might be his best hire from a strictly athletic standpoint. Tamika Reed is one of the best coaches in HBCU athletics. And it feels like only a matter of time before people just come in like, you know what, we got to pick her off. We got to take her, right? So this is phenomenal. He has done a great job at his job. Ashley Robinson staying at Jackson State and not leaving for Prairie View and being able to keep somebody of his caliber is a major grab. And moving forward, we're going to talk about a major move that Grambling just made, because Grambling is playing a game in Puerto Rico this summer. It's an exhibition game in basketball, but it's something that we need to watch, and we need to discuss how they've been showcasing their brand in various locations in 2023 as we continue with Locked On HBCU. Today's episode of Locked on HBCU is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. And if you are a business owner and you are not using LinkedIn Jobs, you are failing your company. Oliver Queen style, you have failed this city because there is the perfect fit, the last puzzle piece that you can't quite find. He or she is right there on LinkedIn. The resume is there. Their qualification, their skill sets are there. You know that you want to bring them in. Not just, oh, I'm bringing in a bunch of people, just get all these applications. I can go be selective. You're always going to get the best pick if you actually go out there and search out these selections. Use the purple hashtag hiring frame. It's very simple. Use the purple hashtag hiring frame. You can post your job for free. When people are interested, you get to see them. You can go out and look for people as well. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. You can post your job for free, no cost to you, but you're going to get a whole lot of reward for it. As we continue rolling on today's episode of Locked on HBCU, I appreciate you for making us your first listen of the day. Every dayers tomorrow, we'll have Prairie View starting quarterback Trayvon Conley on to discuss not only Prairie View in 2022, his love of cutting hair, and then also some Texas high school football. It's going to be really a wonderful show. And I was able to sit down with him earlier this week so I can actually say that I'm not just, oh, this is going to be fun to do. No, it's been done, and it was very fun to do. And I listened to it again. It was fun to listen to. Now, moving forward, Grambling's exhibition in Puerto Rico continues their trend of brand exposure in 2023 because they have spread their brand all over, not just within the South, not just within the state of Louisiana, right? Not just within SWAT country, not just amongst HBCUs, but all over U.S. territory. Gotta say U.S. territory because we're speaking about Puerto Rico here, right? And we're speaking on the Grambling basketball team at this moment. But when I say Grambling spreading their brand, I'm not just speaking on one sport. I'm actually talking about basketball and football. But we'll get into that in a little bit, just a little bit of a precursor, just a little bit of a tease so you know what is on the way in a couple of minutes. But I want to specifically focus on this basketball team because you're still in U.S. territory, but you're off the mainland, right? You're not in the States. You're in Puerto Rico, right? And this game, you're going to be playing all-stars from Liga de Baloncesto. Oh, dang it. I was close. Liga de Baloncesto Puertorriquena. Liga de Baloncesto Puertorriquena. Liga de Baloncesto Puertorriquena. Anybody who has practiced a language before, they know this is not weird, but this translates to Puerto Rican Basketball League. And I did 1 year of Spanish. I did a second year online, but we all know online classes is BS. So I really did one year of Spanish. Lord forgive me. But this is a professional basketball league that is sanctioned by FIBA. Now, y'all know I'm not afraid to make a fool of myself. So trying to say this wasn't I almost didn't do it, but I said, you know what? Forget it. How could I not say Liga de Baloncesto Puertorriquena? I had to get it off. So, but they're actually going to be traveling to Puerto Rico, and that's cool because this is a work vacation. You're on vacation. You're going to enjoy Puerto Rico, trust me. But you're also going to play basketball. But when you're playing basketball, is it really like work? If you're in Puerto Rico, if you're doing this feels like the best work vacation of all time, right? But this is also just kind of the continuation of something we've already seen. Mind you, don't allow the whole trying to say the basketball league in the native language trip you up. They're playing all-stars. So they're playing the best players from this league. It's supposed to be a second-tier team, according to the article I read, or second-tier league, the LBP is supposed to be, from the article I read about it. But I didn't want that to be lost in my trying to say the words, right? So let's just go back to that. But this is a trend that you've seen multiple times now with Grambling this year. First one was the All-Star game in which they played against Southern on All-Star weekend in Salt Lake City, Utah. Man, I can only imagine that there are significantly more people in Salt Lake City, Utah, who have entertained the thought or haven't entertained the thought of going to an HBCU than there is people who have actually thought about it. I'm not saying they don't know Grambling, but Grambling playing at All-Star Weekend against Southern, and they won that game, I think does a good job for their branding. I think it does a good job for selling. You know that they brought the recruit team out there. So you know they're trying to bring in not only athletes, but then also the students. Now, this was announced third, but it's second in or excuse me, it was announced second, but it's third in chronological order. And that is their game versus Hampton. The football team plays a game versus Hampton in New York this year. And I've spoke about it before. I think that Grambling has a great athletic brand. I think that Hampton has a great academic brand. Not to say that either one can't do the other, but I feel like that's what each school is known for. And Grambling is especially known for their football, right? So to bring that to New York, a place where I've spoken to Coach G. God dang it, I forgot. Shout out my guy, Coach G. He is the new Lincoln. He has a long title, but he's a new head coach or a new coach on the Lincoln League. I'm so thrown off because I forgot. I didn't let the emotion get the best of me. But Gerald Huggins, friend of the show, Coach G, right, my guy, is now on the Lincoln, Pennsylvania, the Lincoln School in Pennsylvania, their coaching staff. So congratulations to him, of course. Now, what I was saying about that is we've spoken about the lack of HBCU recruitment athletic-wise in the state of New York. Grambling's a part of trying to change that, right? I think you'll get a couple of more New York athletes when you go up there and you play. And they're familiar with you. You have them on your mind. They have you on their mind. I like that. Grambling's a part of that. Now, the last one has been announced, but it's actually going to happen in the summer, is this All-Star game versus, the Puerto Rican All-Stars, right? This is also a really good time because as a basketball team, you're actually capitalizing at the proper time. You had that game against Salt Lakes or in Salt Lake City. You're in the midst of your best season in 40 years. You now have this game in Puerto Rico, best season in 40 years that just ended, but you're kind of losing some of your stars. So now you're having a summer all-star game, a summer exhibition, and you get to actually see what you're going to be in 2023 into 24. I think that this is wonderful. I think that this is the right time. I think it has a benefit beyond just your brand if you're talking about this event. But overall, All-Star Weekend Showcase, right? I think it was called the All-Star Classic. You have the game in New York, football-wise, and now you're going to Puerto Rico. The brand is hitting New York, Utah, Puerto Rico. This is a phenomenal stretch. 2023 has been a phenomenal year for spreading the brand of Grambling, and I think that we should all stand up and give them a round of applause. I'm not going to stand up because I'm on camera, and it would look bad. You would get a bad angle. But stand up and give them a round of applause if you're at home. Or if you're in the car, please don't do that. Keep your hands on the wheel. And as we keep our hands on the wheel, we drive forward with this locomotive that we call Locked On HBCU. We'll discuss a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of just zen that the MEAC players were able to be given at MEAC Media Day, and has nothing to do with the questions that they were asked as we continue with Locked On HBCU. As we're wrapping up today's episode of Locked On HBCU, I appreciate you for making us your first listen of the day, every day, making it all the way to segment 3. And I thank you 2 times for that. Thank you sincerely. So the MEAC held a Madden tournament at MEAC Media Day for the players who were there. And I think this is beneficial not only to the players, but then also to eSports, period, for the MEAC, right? So just to get a little bit of a synopsis of what this was. Basically, at MEAC Media Day, which we all know is where the coaches and players join together and they're just giving these answers, right? All day event. People are there. You have ESPN there, Jay Walker, Tiffany Green. They're there asking questions on stage. Afterwards, the coaches go through the cycle of journalists who are there. They answer those questions. Same with the players, X, Y, and Z, right? But at this event, at the end of it all, Sonya Stills actually put on an event, the MEAC Madden tournament. And I thought this was great. Kenny Gallup of Howard actually knocked off Davius Richard of North Carolina Central in the finals. But overall, I think this was great for players. I think this is great for esports. When it's for the players, it just kind of breaks the routine. I know me personally. I like when I'm in a routine of things and something fun comes along to break it. It's like, okay, I'm kind of getting used to this cycle, maybe even getting bored of this cycle that I'm currently on. However, this other activity that I didn't plan on, or it wasn't in the list of things I just was thinking about, it comes along, it makes me feel a little better. It kind of breaks the routine and makes things feel fresh. And I'm sure that that's how many of the players felt. You can ask questions all day, probably hearing the same questions 2, 3 times at least, right? And now you get to come on and you get to play Madden, which I'm sure they've all played. The football players, I'm sure they've all played Madden. And, I thought that Corey Fields actually had a quote that was kind of similar to the sentiment I'm giving off. He said it's actually great because a lot of us are coming from summer workouts and we get to relax and get away from our actual school or from actual school. We get to relax, meet new people, and have great experiences. And that's what this is. It's just a break from everything, whether that is summer workouts, whether that is the questions that you're being asked at media day. I just think that this is a great activity, and I hope that it continues because it gives them a little bit of a break. They said Corey Fields was the best trash talker out there, and he said that he was going to try to remember who was playing so that he could talk trash in the season. I love these kind of things because it's like he said, great experiences, meet new people. It's a certain camaraderie now because now you have Gallup and Richard when they go against each other. Maybe Richard does say a little something about Madden, probably Gallup because he's the one who won. But maybe they both say something like, "Oh man, X, Y, and Z, whoop, the whoop, whoop, whatever." Then you're looking at Corey Fields, who apparently the best trash talker. Don't matter he wasn't in the finals. Doesn't matter he didn't win. He'll still have something to say. He'll remember that one play that you messed up, right? So I think that that is something that'll be a lot of fun. But then I also want to thank Davis Richard because he said that knowing football doesn't translate to Madden. I need some of y'all to hear that. A lot of you know, but some of you don't. Loving football, knowing football, playing football, it does not always translate to Madden at the group chat. But also, this benefits esports because esports is a growing field. And I'm not all the way into it. But in general, what esports is you're watching people play games, right? You're watching people play video games. And I've done that. I've never been really much of a gamer. That's just never really been me. I don't think that video games are for kids. But once I hit my teenage years, I kind of phased out of video games, probably because I wasn't that good at Madden and I was never overly creative. But it's definitely not something I would say is for kids. It's just something that I stopped doing. But I always was around it. You're in a dorm room. I'd play Madden. I'd play 2K. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times I was watching. And it was extremely entertaining. Extremely entertaining. It was kind of like an escape for me. For the people who were playing, it was like an escape. But for me, it was the same way because we're involved, right? Taking the next step. I was even watching gameplays on YouTube. Like gameplays are basically where you're seeing someone else play the game. Maybe they're talking. These are all things that I find comparable to esports. So I suggest somebody, anybody, just go out there and watch somebody play a game. Watch them play a game. It'll be surprisingly entertaining. And shout out to my guy, Tony Monk and his team, Spot on Sports. I consider myself an alumni member, but they're doing phenomenal things with esports. It's something that I'm not all the way invested in. I've said it before, but it's a lot of fun. And when you have events like this that you can promote, you can then say, oh, well, hey, we also have esports. Like these are just random football players playing Madden, but we have esports playing Rocket League or Mario Kart and things like that, where, it's fun. So sometimes people don't take it serious, but people are making real bread gaming. I think that it's time that we expose kids and say, hey, listen, you want to be a gamer for real, you can do it. Like there's routes for you to do it. You can do it in school. You can do it professionally. And I think that events like this where we talk about the football team and different things that they do, right? Oh, the football team did something different. They played Madden, a Madden tournament at MEAC Media Day. That's probably going to get more conversation than just an esports tournament. The esports tournament was actually in my city. I didn't even know. But I think that you can marry the two a little bit. You can use this event that we're discussing to promote esports. Overall, a great event. Overall, esports is something that I do find entertaining. I'm just not all the way invested in it. But I think that more people should give it a chance because the little bit that I've seen, it's actually pretty fun. It's actually pretty cool. I watched during the Pro Bowl, they did it. Like esports is always around, but I think when we say esports, it gets a certain stigma. Hopefully, events like this can kind of balance and take that stigma away. And it's just looked at as, hey, people are playing games, and this can be entertaining for you as well. Hopefully, this show has been entertaining. I know that tomorrow's episode, when we discuss just kind of the future of PV and then also life in the past of Trayvon Conley with him, I know that that'll be interesting. So, and entertaining. But until the meantime, in between time, until next time that we hear each other, family, take care, stay blessed. Peace.